The Galactic Council chamber was more crowded than it had ever been. Every species sent representatives. Every news service broadcast the event. This was history being made. Princess Velrisa walked down the center aisle, and for the first time in her life, she felt small. The proud robes and floating crown were gone. She wore simple clothing, as the terms required. Behind her walked only 2 guards, not the usual 6. She had been stripped of ceremony and arrogance both. At the end of the aisle stood Tae Jin, representing humanity. Beside him stood Hana, Commander Daeho, and the other human leaders who had won the war. They wore their formal uniforms, but their expressions were neutral. Not gloating, not angry, just waiting. Council Speaker Threndal stood at the center. We gathered today to witness the formal end of hostilities between the Krillian Empire and humanity. Princess Velrisa has agreed to the terms set forth by Earth's government. Velrisa reached the center of the chamber. By tradition and the terms of surrender, she had to kneel before the victors. Every camera in the galaxy captured this moment. The proud princess of the mighty Krillian Empire, brought low by humans. She knelt. The chamber was completely silent. Velrisa had practiced what she would say had prepared herself for this humiliation. But actually being here on her knees before these short-lived creatures she had mocked was harder than she imagined. Princess Velrisa of the Krillian Empire, on behalf of my people, formally apologized to humanity. Her voice was steady but quiet. I started this war through arrogance and ignorance. I believed humans were weak and inferior. I was wrong. I have brought shame and defeat to my empire through my actions. I accept full responsibility. She looked up at Tae Jin. You told me a minute could be a very long time. I didn't understand, now I do. I'm sorry. For a long moment, Tae Jin just looked at her. The entire galaxy waited to see what humanity would do. Would they be cruel? Vindictive? Would they humiliate her further? Tae Jin stepped forward and offered his hand. Stand up, he said gently. Velrisa stared at his hand, confused. This wasn't in the terms. She was supposed to remain kneeling through the entire ceremony. Stand up, Tae Jin repeated. Please. Slowly she took his hand. He helped her to her feet. The chamber erupted in whispers and gasps. We didn't fight this war for revenge, Tae Jin said, speaking loudly enough for everyone to hear. We fought because you needed to understand something important. Humanity will not be dismissed. We will not be mocked or attacked without consequence. But we're also not here to dominate you or destroy you. He gestured to the human delegation behind him. We are short-lived, yes. Compared to many of you, we barely exist. We live for 80 years if we're lucky, but that makes every moment precious to us. Every day matters. Every life matters. Tae Jin looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of different species. We're fragile. Our bodies break easily. We don't have natural armor or incredible strength. So we became clever. We built tools. We created strategies. We learned to work together. Our fragility made us careful and smart. And yes, he continued, we're emotional. We feel deeply. We love fiercely. We rage when those we love are threatened. Some of you see that as weakness, but it's our greatest strength. Because when you fight humans, you're not just fighting soldiers. You're fighting people who are protecting everything they hold dear. He turned back to Velrisa. You made a mistake, Your Highness. You judged us by your standards. Long lives, strong bodies, calm emotions. You thought because we were different, we were less. But different doesn't mean inferior. Velrisa felt tears forming, something Krillians rarely showed in public. I understand that now. But understanding came at a terrible price. Thousands of my people died, hundreds of thousands of yours. Yes, Tae Jin said quietly. War always costs too much. That's why we're offering you peace. Real peace. Not as conquerors to defeated enemies, but as equals. He pulled out a data pad and handed it to her. The terms we gave you before were for surrender. These are different terms. Terms for alliance. Velrisa took the pad with shaking hands. She read quickly, then looked up in shock. You're offering trade agreements. Technology exchange. Mutual defense pacts, but we lost. You could demand anything. We could. Hana spoke up, stepping forward. But what would that accomplish? You'd resent us. Plot revenge. In 50 years or 100, we'd fight again. We don't want that. We want peace that lasts. Commander Daeho added. Besides, we studied your empire during the war. You're not evil. You're not monsters. You're just a species that got used to being the strongest. You forgot what it's like to struggle. To fight for survival. We remember. We always will. Velrisa looked at the terms again. They were generous. More than generous. Human technology that could help Krillian worlds. Trade that would benefit both sides. And a clause that said if the Krillian Empire was ever attacked by another power, humanity would come to their aid. Why? She asked. Why show us mercy? Tajin smiled sadly. Because we know what it's like to be underestimated. To be looked down on. We spent 3 years before joining the council being treated like primitives. Being dismissed. Being mocked. It hurts. We won't do that to others, he paused. But make no mistake, Your Highness. This is also a warning. We're offering friendship, but we're also showing the galaxy what happens if you attack us. Every species here is watching right now. They're seeing that we can fight. That we can win. But also that we can be merciful. That's the message we want to send. Peace if possible, Hana said. War if necessary. Council Speaker Threndal stepped forward. Princess Velrisa, do you accept these new terms? Velrisa looked at the humans. Really looked at them. Tajin with his calm eyes and steady presence. Hana with her sharp intelligence. Dai-Ho with his warrior's bearing. She had dismissed them as insects. As nothing, she had been so wrong. I accept, she said. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure my people understand what I learned. That strength isn't just about power or size or lifespan. It's about will. About never giving up. About protecting what you love, she bowed to Taijin. Deeper this time. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Thank you for the lesson. And for the mercy. The council erupted in applause. Species that had been neutral during the war now saw opportunity. Species that had feared humanity now saw wisdom. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was at the center of it. Over the next weeks, more species approached Earth with trade offers and alliance requests. The Ventari, who had always been friendly, deepened their ties. The Morlin offered technology exchanges. Even some Krillian worlds asked for human help rebuilding. Velrisa kept her word. She traveled to human worlds and spoke about the war, about her mistakes, about what humanity had taught her. Some Krillians resented her for this. Others listened and learned. One day, months after the surrender, she visited New Haven, the colony where the war had started. She walked through the streets where Krillian soldiers had attacked. She saw the memorials for humans who died defending their homes. Captain Sunhee found her standing before one memorial, reading names. I killed some of them, Sunhee said quietly. Your soldiers. I don't regret it. They were trying to kill my people. I know, Velrisa said. I don't blame you. I blame myself. Good. You should. Sunhee looked at the memorial. But Tajin was right. Dwelling on the past won't help. We need to build a better future. How? Velrisa asked. How do we move past this? Slowly, one day at a time. One act of trust at a time. Sunhee held out her hand. My name is Sunhee. I think we've met before, but we never properly introduced ourselves. Velrisa looked at the offered hand. In Krillian culture, touching hands with someone was a sign of deep trust. She took Sunhee's hand. I'm Velrisa. Though I suppose you know that already. They stood together in silence, two warriors from opposite sides learning to build peace. On Earth, Taijin and Hana sat in a briefing room, looking at star maps. Commander Dai-Ho had given them a new assignment. The Telax Confederation is having border disputes with the Norvath Union, Dai-Ho explained. The Council wants neutral mediators. They asked for us. Us? Hana said, surprised. We just fought a war. Exactly. Both sides respect us now. Fear us a little. They think we'll be fair but firm. Taijin studied the map. This could be the start of something. Humanity as peacekeepers. Not just warriors, but diplomats too. That's the idea, Dai-Ho said. We showed the galaxy we can fight. Now we need to show them we can keep the peace. Hana smiled. From mocked newcomers to galactic mediators in less than a year. Not bad. Don't get cocky, Taijin warned. That's what got Velrisa in trouble. True, but we can be proud. We stood up for ourselves. We won respect, and we did it without losing who we are. Taijin nodded. We're still humans. Still emotional. Still short-lived. Still fragile. Still dangerous when threatened, Hana added. That too. They looked out the window at Earth below. The planet that created them, the death world that made them strong. Humanity had come so far in such a short time. From one planet to the stars, from isolation to galactic importance. And they were just getting started. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges, full of dangers. But humanity had proven something important. They belonged. Not because they were the strongest or the smartest or the longest lived, but because they were human. The war had lasted 3 months. 3 months that changed the galaxy forever. The Krillian Empire was falling apart. Not everywhere, but on the human front they were collapsing. World after world, their forces retreated or surrendered. Ships disappeared. Supply lines were cut. Entire fleets vanished into human-controlled space and were never seen again. Princess Velrisa sat in her palace throne room, reading reports with growing horror. Her uncle, General Krelvor, was dead. His flagship had been destroyed by a coordinated human attack. The humans had tracked him for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment, then struck without warning. 2,000 Krillian soldiers died with him. She threw the datapad against the wall. How? She demanded. How are they doing this? Her advisor, an old Krillian named Ventok, spoke carefully. Your Highness, our military commanders say the humans are not fighting the way we expected. They capture our technology and improve it. They study our tactics and counter them. They never attack where we're strong, always where we're weak, then strengthen the weak points. We try, Your Highness, but the moment we reinforce one area, they attack somewhere else. It's like fighting ghosts. They're everywhere and nowhere. Velrisa stood and paced. She had been so certain, so sure that humanity would break quickly. They were nothing, insects with short lives and fragile bodies. How were they winning? What about the other council species? Are they helping the humans? No, Your Highness. The humans fight alone, but many species are watching. Some are impressed. Others are frightened. Frightened of humans? Yes, Your Highness, Velrisa wanted to scream. This was supposed to be easy, a quick lesson to teach the humans their place. Instead, it had become a disaster that was making the Empire look weak. Her communication console beeped. A request for audience. Who is it? She snapped. A human, Your Highness. She says her name is Yuna. She comes with an official message from Earth. Velrisa almost refused, but curiosity won. Let her in. Yuna entered the throne room without fear. She was young, maybe 30, with short hair and calm eyes. She wore a simple gray suit with Earth's emblem on the shoulder. She bowed slightly, just enough to be polite but not submissive. Your Highness, Yuna said, I bring terms from Earth's government. Terms? Velrisa laughed bitterly. You think you can dictate terms to the Krillian Empire? Yes, Yuna said simply. We can, and we are. She pulled out a datapad and placed it on the steps leading to the throne. Immediate ceasefire. Your forces withdraw from all human space. Reparations for the damage caused. And a public apology from you personally to humanity. Velrisa stared at her. You're serious. Very serious. And if I refuse? Yuna's expression didn't change. Then the war continues. And you lose. Not eventually. Not maybe, you lose. Your military is broken. Your supply lines are destroyed. 40% of your fleet in this sector is gone. The rest are scattered and afraid. Lies. Are they? Yuna pulled up a holographic map. It showed the Krillian territory in red and human territory in blue. But there were purple zones everywhere, areas where fighting was happening. And the red was shrinking. These are real-time positions, Yuna explained. Your 3rd fleet here, surrounded. Your 5th fleet here, cut off from support. Your garrison on Telmara here, under siege. We know where all your forces are, Your Highness. We've been tracking them for months. Velrisa felt cold. How? Your communications aren't as secure as you think. We've been listening, learning, planning. You're spies. We're soldiers, Yuna corrected, and we're very good at what we do. Velrisa wanted to order her guards to arrest this human, to make an example of her, but something stopped her. Maybe it was the calm confidence in Yuna's eyes. Maybe it was the reports of another defeat that had arrived that morning. Why offer terms at all? Velrisa asked. If you're winning, why not just finish us? Because we don't want genocide, Yuna said quietly. We want peace, but it has to be real peace, where you respect us, where you understand that we're not weak, not inferior. Different maybe, but not less. You are less, Velrisa said, but her voice lacked conviction now. You live such short lives. You're so fragile. And yet we're winning, Yuna pointed out. Maybe your measurements are wrong, Your Highness. Maybe life isn't about how long you live. Maybe it's about what you do with the time you have. Velrisa looked at the data pad with the terms. Everything in her training, her culture, her pride screamed at her to refuse. The Krillian Empire did not surrender, did not bow to inferior species, but another part of her, the part that had seen the casualty reports, knew the truth. This war was already lost. I need time to consider, she said finally. You have 12 hours, Yuna replied. After that we launch Operation Minute Hand. What's that? Yuna smiled, and it was not a kind smile. You'll see if you refuse. She bowed again and left. The throne room felt colder after she was gone. Velrisa called an emergency council with her military advisors. They gathered in the war room looking tired and defeated. Can we win? She asked them directly. Tell me the truth. The silence stretched. Finally, Admiral Helivor spoke. He was old, scarred from 100 battles, and had never lied to her. No, Your Highness. We cannot win. Not this war. The humans fight like nothing we've ever faced. They don't care about honor or tradition. They care about victory, and they're achieving it. What if we commit the entire fleet? Everything we have? Then we might take human space, another admiral said. But it would cost us everything. Every ship, every soldier. And the humans would just retreat, rebuild, and come back. They're already doing that. Every world we conquer turns into a resistance nightmare. Velrisa felt the weight of it all crushing down on her. She had started this war with arrogance, with certainty. Now she was losing an empire because she had mocked one human diplomat at a party. What do you recommend? She asked. Take the terms, Helivor said. End this before it gets worse. Worse? How could it get worse? As if answering her question, alarms suddenly blared throughout the palace. Emergency broadcast filled every screen. All forces to battle stations. Massive human fleet detected entering the home system. Velrisa ran to the command center. The screen showed dozens of human ships appearing from faster-than-light travel. They spread out in formation around the planet, not attacking, just positioning themselves. Then her communication console lit up. A message from Admiral Sungmin, commander of the human fleet. His face appeared on the screen. He was older, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much war. Princess Velrisa, he said calmly. This is Operation Minute Hand. We are now in position around your homeworld and 17 other major Krillian planets. We have weapons locked on your military installations, communication arrays, and power generation facilities. Velrisa's breath caught. You wouldn't dare attack civilians. We won't, Sungmin agreed. But we will destroy your military capability completely. Every base, every shipyard, every weapon facility. We've spent 3 months mapping your entire military infrastructure. We can cripple your empire in 48 hours without killing a single civilian. That's impossible, is it? We're already in position. Your defense fleets are scattered, fighting our other forces across the sector. You have nothing here that can stop us. Velrisa looked at her military advisors. They all looked at their screens, checking, calculating. Slowly, they nodded. It was true. The humans had outmaneuvered them completely. This is your choice, Sungmin continued. Accept Yuna's terms now, or watch your military power disappear. You'll be left defenseless. Other species will see your weakness. Some might decide to take what's yours. The Krillian Empire will fall, not because humans destroyed you, but because we removed your ability to defend yourselves. You're monsters, Velrisa whispered. No, Sungmin said. We're humans. You started this war thinking we were weak. We're showing you the truth. We held back, Your Highness. All this time we've been holding back, hoping you'd surrender. Hoping we wouldn't have to do this. Why? Why hold back? Because we remember what it's like to be underestimated, to be looked down on. We don't want to become the bullies we fought against. We want peace. But if you force our hand, we will end this war our way. Velrisa looked around the command center, at her advisors, at the screen showing human ships in positions they should never have reached. At the reality of her situation, she had mocked Taejin, told him he would be gone in a minute. But he had been right. A minute was a very long time, long enough for everything to change. How long do I have? She asked. 30 seconds, Princess. Surrender or we finish this. Velrisa closed her eyes, saw her empire falling, saw the future without this war. Pride warred with survival. Survival won. I accept your terms, she said quietly. We surrender. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with urgent conversation. Representatives from 200 species filled the massive hall, their voices blending into a wall of sound. They had all seen the reports. The humans, those weak newcomers who were supposed to be insignificant, were winning a war against the Krillian Empire. It shouldn't be possible. Council Speaker Threndal called for order. He was a tall, thin being with skin like polished stone and eyes that glowed faintly blue. He had led the council for 60 years and had never seen anything like this. The council recognizes Dr. Minseo of Earth, he announced. Minseo walked to the center of the chamber. She was a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life. But she had been asked to explain humanity to the confused council members. She carried a datapad and wore simple clothing, looking small among the gathered aliens, but her voice was strong. You asked me to explain how humans are winning this war, she began. To answer that, I need to explain what humans are. Images appeared on the holographic display above her. Earth spinning slowly, showing its blue oceans and green continents. This is our homeworld. You call it a death world. You're right. Earth tried to kill us for millions of years. Predators hunted us. Diseases infected us. Weather patterns could destroy entire regions without warning. Volcanoes, earthquakes, floods, droughts. Everything on Earth was dangerous. A Krillian representative stood. Yes, we know your planet is harsh. That doesn't explain your military success. Minseo smiled slightly. Actually, it explains everything. You see, most of your species evolved on gentle worlds, stable climates, few natural disasters, predators that weren't too dangerous. You developed civilization in peace and safety. She changed the image. Now it showed early humans living in caves, fighting with primitive weapons. Humans had none of that. We were prey animals once, weak, slow, no claws or fangs. But we had brains. We learned to make tools. We learned to work together. And most importantly, we learned to never give up. Persistent, she continued. That's the human advantage. We're persistence predators. Do you know what that means? Silence answered her. On Earth, many predators are faster than their prey, stronger. But humans aren't. So we developed a different strategy. We chase, we track, we follow for hours, for days, for weeks if necessary. We don't give up, ever. The prey gets tired, makes a mistake, and we win. Not because we're stronger, because we never stop coming. The image changed again, showing human history. Wars, struggles, cities rising and falling. You call us short-lived, Minseo said. We live 80, maybe 90 years. You're right, that's nothing compared to your 400-year lifespans. But do you know what short lives teach us? She looked around the chamber. Urgency. We don't have time to waste. Every moment matters. We pack more learning, more fighting, more living into our decades than you do in your centuries. A human soldier at 40 has fought more battles than your 200-year-old generals. We rotate our people through training constantly. Our armies have collective centuries of combat experience, even though individual soldiers are young. A representative from the Ventari asked, But what about your technology? Your ships are less advanced than ours. Are they? Minseo pulled up technical specifications. Yes, our ships are less elegant, less beautiful. But they're practical. We build them to be repaired quickly, modified easily. We don't make art. We make weapons that work. She showed footage from the battle at New Haven, the swarm ships dodging Krillian fire. You build your ships for duels between equals, honorable combat. We don't. We build our ships for war, real war. The kind where you use every advantage, every trick, every dirty tactic that works. Because on Earth, we fought each other for thousands of years. We know every way to kill, every way to win. This is barbaric, the Krillian representative protested. Yes, Minseo agreed calmly. It is, we are barbaric. We evolved in barbarism. You evolved in civilization. That's why you're losing. The chamber erupted in argument. Threndal called for order again. But your emotions, another representative said. You feel so strongly. Fear, anger, love. Surely that makes you unstable. Minseo's expression hardened. Our emotions are not weakness. They're weapons. You want to know why we fight so hard? Because we love our families, our friends, our homes. When you threatened New Haven, you threatened human children, human families. Do you understand what that means? She let the question hang. It means you activated something in us that you don't have. A rage that comes from love. A determination that comes from protecting our own. You fight for territory, for resources, for glory. We fight because we must. Because if we don't, the people we love will die. There is no more dangerous enemy than someone fighting to protect their family. While Minseo spoke to the council, the war continued. Pilot Junho sat in the cockpit of his fighter, watching Krillian ships through his canopy. He was 32 years old and had been flying combat missions since he was 20. 200 confirmed kills, more than any other human pilot. His squadron, Ghostwing, specialized in hunting capital ships. Target acquired, his wingman reported. Krillian battlecruiser, minimal escort. I see it, Junho said. Formation Delta, Hana, you in position? Hana's voice came through the comm from the intelligence ship hiding nearby. I'm here. I've been intercepting their communications for the last hour. That battlecruiser is General Krelvor's new flagship. Perfect. Let's send a message. Ghostwing moved like shadows through space. They used every asteroid, every debris field for cover. The Krillians had better sensors, but Hana's team was feeding them false data, filling their screens with ghost images and phantom contacts. The battlecruiser never saw them coming. Junho's squadron hit the engines first, crippling the ship's ability to run. Then they targeted the weapon systems. The Krillians tried to defend, but the human fighters were too fast, too coordinated. They moved like they shared one mind. In 10 minutes, it was over. The battlecruiser drifted, powerless and helpless. Should we finish it? A squadron member asked. No, Junho said. Let them live. Let them tell their friends what happened. Fear is a weapon, too. General Krelvor stood on the bridge of his crippled ship, shaking with rage and shame. His crew worked frantically to restore power. Around him, rescue ships approached, but slowly. The human fighters still circled nearby, watching. They're playing with us, his first officer said quietly. Krelvor knew it was true. The humans could have destroyed them. Instead, they humiliated them. How? He asked. How are they doing this? His officer pulled up combat analysis. They're using tactics we've never encountered. Swarm formations, asymmetric warfare, psychological operations. They're not fighting like civilized species. They're fighting like what? Like predators, General. Like they're hunting us. Back at the council, Mincio continued her presentation. You've also asked about our strategy, our approach to warfare. Let me be clear. We studied all of you for 3 years before we were admitted to the council. We watched your wars, analyzed your tactics, learned your weaknesses. She showed star maps with marked battle sites. The Krillian Empire fights honorably. You challenge your enemies. Give them chances to surrender. Follow rules of engagement. You think war should be fair? Mincio's smile was cold. Humans don't believe in fair. We believe in winning. When we fight, we use everything. Deception, surprise, fear. We hit you where you're weak. We attack your supplies, your communications, your morale. We don't just fight your soldiers. We fight your whole system. A council member stood outraged. This is dishonorable. Yes, Mincio said. But we're still alive. How many species has the Krillian Empire conquered? 20, 30? All of them fought honorably. All of them lost. We're not honorable, but we're winning. Threndal leaned forward in his seat. Dr. Mincio, are you saying humans cannot be defeated? No, she said honestly. We can be defeated. But you have to understand what you're fighting. We're not just another species. We're survivors of a death world. We're persistence predators. We're emotional fighters who never give up. To beat us, you can't just be stronger. You have to break our will, and human will doesn't break easily. She showed one final image, a human child playing in a park on New Haven before the war. That child's family is fighting right now, fighting for her future. You think they'll surrender? You think they'll give up? Humans have fought through ice ages, plagues, disasters that should have killed us all. We're still here, still fighting, still surviving. So when Princess Velrisa mocked us when she said we'd be gone in a minute, she made a mistake. She assumed we were like everyone else. We're not. We're humans, and we've been fighting for survival since before we could walk upright. The chamber was silent now. All the representatives stared at Mincio, seeing humans clearly for the first time. The Krillian Empire started this war thinking we were weak, Mincio finished. They're learning the truth now. We are weak. We're fragile. We're short-lived. But we're also relentless, and in the end, relentless beats strong every time. She walked back to her seat. The council members sat in stunned silence, finally understanding what humanity was. Not a weak species to be pitied, not a primitive culture to be dismissed, but something new and dangerous. Something that had turned weakness into strength and suffering into weapons. The colony of New Haven sat on the edge of human space. A green world with 3 moons and peaceful valleys. 40,000 humans lived there. farming and mining rare minerals. It was only the third planet humanity had settled outside Earth's solar system. Children played in the streets. Families built homes. Everyone thought they were safe. They were wrong. General Krelvor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Glory, and looked at the planet below. He was a veteran of 50 campaigns, and his dark blue scales showed the scars of a dozen battles. He had served the Krillian Empire for 200 years and had never lost a war. This would be easy. A simple punishment to teach the humans respect. His niece, Princess Velrisa, had given clear orders. Make an example of New Haven. Show the humans they were nothing. Break them quickly so they would bow to Krillian authority. All ships report ready, General, his first officer said. Krelvor nodded. Begin orbital bombardment. Target military installations first, then infrastructure. Leave the cities intact. We want survivors to spread the message of their defeat. Yes, General. But before the weapons could fire, alarms blared across every Krillian ship. Multiple contacts. The sensor officer shouted. Small craft, hundreds of them, coming from the dark side of the moons. Krelvor spun toward the display. Swarms of tiny human ships, each barely larger than a fighter, erupted from hiding spots behind the moons and nearby asteroids. They moved fast, zigzagging in patterns that made targeting difficult. What are those? Krelvor demanded. Unknown class, General. They're too small to be proper warships. Destroy them. The Krillian fleet opened fire. Massive energy beams lanced out, designed to pierce the heavy armor of capital ships, but the human craft dodged. They moved like insects, swarming and weaving. When the beams did hit, the small ship's shields absorbed the damage, flickered, and held. How are they doing that? The weapons officer asked, confused. Those shields shouldn't stop our weapons. On the planet below, Commander Deho watched from the command center. He was a broad-shouldered man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had fought in Earth's unification wars and knew exactly how to fight a bigger, stronger enemy. Jiwoo, he said into his communicator. Are the adaptive shields working? Jiwoo's voice came back excited. She was young, only 28, but she was the smartest engineer in the fleet. Perfectly, Commander. The shields analyze incoming fire and adjust their frequency in milliseconds. Each time they shoot, we get better at blocking it. Good. Sun-Hee, how's your team? Captain Sun-Hee led the Special Forces unit hiding in the hills around the capital city. She was small and quick, with sharp eyes and faster reflexes. She had trained in 6 different combat styles and could kill in 24 ways without making a sound. In position, she reported. We've identified their landing zones. When they come down, we'll be waiting. Deho smiled. Remember, everyone, they think we're weak. Let's use that. In space, Krelvor was discovering that weak was the last thing humans were. The swarm ships weren't trying to destroy his fleet. They were distracting it. While his gunners focused on the small craft, larger human ships, hidden until now, emerged from the planet's atmosphere. These ships were different. They looked crude compared to elegant Krillian vessels, but they were covered in armor plating and bristled with missile launchers. New contacts, the sensor officer yelled. 20 human cruisers launching ordnance. Thousands of missiles streaked toward the Krillian fleet. Krelvor's ships activated their point defense systems, shooting down most of the missiles, but not all. Some got through. Explosions rippled across Krillian shields. Shields holding at 90%, the first officer reported. Minimal damage, see? Krelvor said, forcing confidence into his voice. They cannot hurt us. All ships target those cruisers. Ignore the small craft. But that was exactly what Commander Deho wanted. The moment the Krillian fleet focused on the cruisers, the swarm ships attacked. They carried special weapons designed by Jiwoo and her team, electromagnetic pulse missiles, not designed to destroy, but to disable. The small ships flew straight at the Krillian vessels, dodging defensive fire, and released their missiles at point-blank range. Blue lightning spread across Krillian shields and armor. Systems started failing. General, we're losing communications with the 2nd Squadron. Weapon systems offline on ships 7 through 12. The Valiant Hope reports engine failure. Krelvor stared at the chaos unfolding before him. How were they doing this? His fleet had superior numbers, superior technology, superior firepower. Yet these humans, these primitive newcomers, were tearing his formation apart. All ships retreat to high orbit, he ordered. Reform and regroup. But retreating was harder than advancing. The human swarm ships harassed them the entire way, never stopping, never giving them a moment to breathe. By the time the Krillian fleet reached high orbit, 6 ships were crippled and had to be abandoned. On the planet, Krillian ground forces had already landed. 5,000 elite soldiers, equipped with the best weapons and armor the Empire could provide. They marched toward the capital city, expecting to meet frightened civilians and a token defense force. Instead, they walked into hell. Sun-Hee watched through her scope as the Krillian soldiers advanced. They moved in tight formation, confident and arrogant. They didn't scout properly. They didn't check flanks. They had never fought an enemy that used guerrilla tactics. "Wait," she whispered to her team. Wait, the Krillians entered the valley. The perfect kill zone. Now the hillsides exploded. Hidden charges detonated, bringing rocks and dirt down on the Krillian formation. Then came the bullets. Human soldiers, hidden in camouflaged positions, opened fire from 3 directions at once. The Krillians had better armor, but humans had studied their equipment. They aimed for joints, weak points, gaps in coverage. Krillian soldiers fell. "Return fire," their commander shouted. But they couldn't see the enemy. Humans used hit-and-run tactics, shooting and relocating before the Krillians could respond. Smoke grenades filled the valley. Noisemakers created confusion. The Krillians' advanced sensors were overwhelmed by false signals. Sun-Hee moved through the chaos like a shadow. She dropped 2 Krillian soldiers with precise shots, then disappeared before their squad could react. Her team did the same, striking from everywhere and nowhere. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, 2,000 Krillian soldiers were dead or wounded. The rest retreated to their landing ships in disorder. Human casualties 37. In space, Krelvor received the reports with disbelief. "This is impossible. They're primitives." "General," his first officer said carefully, "perhaps we underestimated them." Silence. "Send a message to the homeworld. We need reinforcements." "General, the princess specifically said this would be a quick operation. If we request help, it will look like we failed." Krelvor's scales darkened with anger, but he knew his officer was right. Velrisa had promised the Empire a swift victory. If he admitted he needed help against humans, his career would be over. "Then we use everything we have," he decided. "Prepare the main battle fleet. We will crush them with overwhelming force." But while he planned, reports came in from other human colonies. They were all fortified, all prepared, all waiting. Somehow the humans had known this was coming. On New Haven, Commander Daeho received a transmission from Earth. It was Tae-Jin. "How bad is it?" Tae-Jin asked. "We won the first round," Daeho said. "But they'll come back with more ships. Can you hold?" "We can hold. The question is, for how long?" Tae-Jin's face was grim on the screen. "Hold as long as you can. I'm bringing reinforcements, and I'm sending the princess a message." "What message?" "Just reminding her how long a minute can be." Across the galaxy, Princess Velrisa received the transmission in her palace. She read Tae-Jin's words with growing rage. "That was 1 second, Your Highness. 59 to go." She threw the datapad across the room. How dare he mock her? How dare these insects resist? "Send word to my uncle," she told her advisor. "Whatever it takes, crush the humans. I want them begging for mercy within a week." But the war had only just begun, and humanity was just getting started. They had spent 3 years studying galactic warfare. They had built weapons and trained soldiers specifically for this moment. Every human colony was a fortress. Every human ship was a weapon. The Krillian Empire had started a war thinking it would be easy. They thought humans were weak, fragile, and easily broken. They were about to learn the truth. Humans didn't break. They bent, adapted, and came back harder. It was how they survived on Earth, a planet that tried to kill them every single day. It was how they survived each other through centuries of war. And now it was how they would survive the galaxy. General Krelvor didn't know it yet, but he had just lost the war. The only question now was how long it would take him to realize it. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council Station stretched higher than any building on Earth. Tae-Jin stood near the entrance, watching hundreds of alien species mingle and talk. Some had 4 arms, others floated in the air, and a few looked like walking crystals that reflected light in strange colors. He wore his formal human diplomatic uniform, dark blue with silver trim. His hands stayed relaxed at his sides, but his eyes never stopped moving. 20 years in the military had taught him to always watch his surroundings. Hana stood beside him, shorter but equally alert. Her dark hair was pulled back tight, and she wore the same uniform. She was his tactical officer and had been his partner for 7 years. They had survived 3 wars together before humanity even knew aliens existed. They're staring at us again, Hana said quietly in Korean, knowing the translation devices wouldn't pick up their native language if they spoke softly enough. Let them stare, Taijin replied. We're the new species. We're interesting. Or they think we're weak. Taijin smiled slightly. Also possible. Humanity had been admitted to the Galactic Council only 6 months ago. It had been the biggest moment in human history. First contact had happened 3 years before that, when a trading ship stumbled into Earth's solar system. The aliens had been surprised to find intelligent life on what they called a death world. Earth was too dangerous, they said. Too much weather, too many diseases, too many predators. Most species evolved on calmer planets, but humanity had evolved there anyway. They had climbed to the top of the food chain through stubbornness and intelligence. When the Council reviewed Earth's history, they saw the wars, the struggles, the way humans never gave up even when things looked impossible. Some Council members voted to accept humanity. Others voted against it. In the end, humans were admitted as a probationary species. They could attend meetings and trade, but they had no real power yet. Taijin had been chosen as one of Earth's first diplomats because of his experience. Commander Daeho, who led the human fleet, had personally recommended him. You don't panic, Daeho had said, and you know when to fight and when to talk. We need that out there. Now Taijin walked through the reception hall with Hana, nodding politely to aliens who looked at them with curiosity or suspicion. Some species were friendly. The Ventari, who looked like tall birds with brilliant feathers, had welcomed humanity warmly. The Morlen, short bear-like creatures, had offered trade agreements immediately, but others were less kind. The Krillian Empire, which controlled 1/3 of the known galaxy, had opposed humanity's admission from the start. Incoming, Hana muttered. Taijin saw her immediately. Princess Velrisa of the Krillian Empire moved through the crowd like she owned the station. She was tall, nearly 7 feet, with pale purple skin and elegant features. Her species lived for 400 years on average, and she was only 90, still considered young. She wore flowing robes of deep crimson, and a crown of silver metal floated above her head, held there by some technology Taijin didn't understand. Behind her walked 6 guards, each one massive and armed. The crowd parted for her automatically. She stopped directly in front of Taijin. Her golden eyes looked down at him with obvious contempt. So, she said, her voice clear and cold, these are the humans everyone is talking about. Taijin bowed slightly, the polite gesture humans had adopted for formal occasions. Your Highness, I am Taijin representing Earth. Earth, she repeated as if the word tasted bad. The little death world at the edge of civilized space. Tell me, human, how long do your people live? About 80 to 90 years, Your Highness, she laughed. It wasn't a kind laugh. Several nearby aliens turned to watch. 80 years? How tragic. You barely have time to learn anything before you die. My youngest nephew is older than your entire species' presence in the galaxy. Hana's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. Taijin remained calm. We make good use of our time, he said simply. Do you? Felrisa circled him slowly, like a predator examining prey. I have read the reports about your planet. Constant wars among yourselves. Primitive nuclear weapons. You only achieved faster than light travel because you found our old probe and copied it. Your military has never fought anyone but yourselves. That's true, Taijin admitted, and yet the Council admitted you. Why charity? She smiled, showing teeth that were slightly too sharp. Let me tell you what I see, human. I see a species that is weak, short-lived, and fragile. Your bodies break easily. Your lives flash by in an instant. You are at best a curiosity. At worst you are a liability. The hall had gone quiet. Everyone was watching now. Taijin met her eyes steadily. Is there a question in there, Your Highness, or are you just making observations? Her smile vanished. I am telling you the truth. You will never matter here. Your species will come and go, while the great civilizations continue on. You'll be gone in a minute, human. Your kind always are. The insult hung in the air. Taijin felt Hana tense beside him, but he put a hand on her arm gently. He studied the princess for a long moment. She expected anger, fear, or defensiveness. He could see it in her expression. Instead, he smiled. Not a big smile, just a small, knowing one. A minute can be a very long time, princess, he said quietly. Something flickered in her eyes. Confusion, maybe, or irritation that he hadn't reacted the way she wanted. Your people just conquered the Belor homeworld last month. Taijin continued, his voice still calm. "Congratulations on that victory. I'm sure your empire is very proud." "We are," she said coldly. "The Beller resisted for 3 years before they understood they could not win against Krillian might. 3 years is a long time. For them, perhaps. For us, it was merely an inconvenience." She leaned closer. "Do not mistake the Council's mercy for respect, human. You are here because some species felt sorry for you. But if you displease the wrong people, if you step out of line, you will learn what happens to species who forget their place." "And what place is that?" Hana asked, speaking for the first time. Her voice was steady but hard. Velrisa barely glanced at her. "Beneath us." Taejin's communication device beeped softly. He glanced down at it and saw the priority code. "Emergency message from Commander Daeho." His expression didn't change, but Hana noticed, and her hand moved slightly toward her own device. "If you'll excuse us, Your Highness," Taejin said, bowing again. "We have duties to attend to." "Run along, little human," Velrisa said dismissively. "This galaxy belongs to those who have the strength to hold it. Remember that." Taejin and Hana walked toward the exit. Behind them, they heard Velrisa laughing with her guards, saying something in Krillian that made them all laugh. Once they were in the corridor outside, Hana spoke in Korean. "What did Daeho send?" Taejin pulled up the message. His jaw tightened as he read. "Krillian fleet movements detected near New Haven Colony. Large force. 40 capital ships, 200 support vessels. They're entering human space." "That's an invasion force," Hana said flatly. "Yes. She declared war while insulting you to your face." Taejin looked back at the closed doors of the reception hall. Through the glass he could see Princess Velrisa still holding court, looking pleased with herself. "She thinks we're weak," he said quietly. "She thinks we'll roll over like the Beller did. Are we going back to Earth?" "Yes, and we're going to show her exactly how long a minute can be." They walked quickly toward the docking bay where their ship waited. Behind them, the party continued. Nobody knew that everything was about to change. Nobody knew that humanity was about to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. The war was coming, and the Krillian Empire had no idea what they had just started.